I'm standing in the lobby of this overpriced resort, heart hammering so loud I'm sure the bellhop can hear it. My palms are sweaty, my breath shallow, and all I want to do is turn around and leave. But I can't. Not now. The glossy photos on Jessa's Instagram feed flash through my mind like a slideshow I didn't ask for. Her laughing with our friends, her glowing under string lights, her posting captions that feel like daggers. "Can't wait to celebrate with all our favorite people," she wrote. All except me. The air here smells like polished marble and expensive cologne. But beneath it, there's something sharper, a metallic tang of panic rising in my throat. I scroll through her wedding hashtag again. Tulum together, as if seeing it one more time will make me understand why I wasn't invited. Why I was left out. It doesn't help. Instead, it makes my chest tighten even more. And then it happens. Someone bumps into me, a bridesmaid from Jessa's group. She looks at me, confused, then recognition flickers across her face. "Clara?" she says too loudly. Heads turn. For a split second, the world freezes. Do they know I'm here? Did Jessa tell them? Or worse, does she not care enough to notice? This isn't just about missing a trip anymore. This is about being erased. About wondering if you ever really mattered to someone who once swore you did. If you've ever felt invisible or abandoned by the people closest to you, you need to stay tuned, because this story might change how you see forgiveness, friendship, and yourself. Hit subscribe so you don't miss what happens next. Trust me, this journey gets real. Let me tell you about me, Clara. I'm 32, living in Maplewood, Minnesota, working at my parents' diner because life hasn't exactly handed me a roadmap to follow. Some days, I feel like I've been stuck on the same road for years, refilling coffee cups, wiping down sticky counters, and watching other people chase their dreams while mine collect dust in the back of my mind. But don't get me wrong, I'm not bitter. Okay, maybe a little. Mostly I'm just waiting for something or someone to remind me that I matter, that who I am is enough. And then there's Jessa. She's everything I'm not, bold, magnetic, fearless. The kind of person who walks into a room and lights it up without even trying. You know those people who seem born to be loved by everyone? That's Jessa. We grew up together, best friends since second grade when she shared her peanut butter. Sandwiched with me after mine got squished at the bottom of my backpack. Back then, we were inseparable. Sleepovers, secrets, promises we swore would last forever. But forever ended last year. We had this fight, a big one. I don't even remember how it started, but I'll never forget how it ended. She called me too much, too loud, too emotional, too needy. Those words hit like a slap, and before I could apologize or explain, she stopped calling. At first, I thought she'd come around. People cool off, right? But weeks turned into months, and soon I realized she wasn't coming back. Not really. And now here we are, with her getting married in Tulum, with everyone but me. Her fiancé, Ryan, is another story altogether. He's polished, successful, the kind of guy who wears tailored suits and talks about his stock portfolio at dinner, parties. From what I've seen online, he's perfect for Jessa, or at least for the version of Jessa she wants the world to see. But there's something about him that makes my skin crawl, though I can't quite put my finger on why. Maybe it's the way he posts photos of her looking happy but never truly free. Or maybe it's just jealousy twisting inside me, whispering that he took my place. As for me, my motivation is simple. I need answers. Why wasn't I invited? Was it punishment for our fight? Or worse, has she moved on so completely that I don't even cross her mind anymore? This trip isn't just about crashing a wedding. It's about finding out if I still exist in her world, if I ever did. Because if I don't figure this out, I'll lose more than a friend. I'll lose the part of myself that believed in forever. If you've ever wondered where you stand with someone you love, or if you're brave enough to face the truth when it hurts, keep listening. This story will take you places you didn't expect and leave you asking questions you didn't know you had. The presidential suite feels like stepping into someone else's dream. A dream I can't afford, don't belong in, but can't seem to leave. The air is cool, almost too cold, carrying the faint scent of lavender from the fancy soaps stacked neatly on the marble counter. It's sterile, untouched, like a museum exhibit pretending to be home. Floor-to-ceiling windows dominate the space, framing an endless expanse of turquoise water that crashes against white sand under a relentless sun. But instead of feeling luxurious, it just makes me feel smaller, like I'm standing on the edge of something vast and indifferent. Outside, laughter drifts up from their villa, Jess's group, already deep in celebration mode. Their voices are bright, carefree, punctuated by bursts of clinking glasses and music spilling out of Bluetooth speakers. Someone shouts, "Cheers to forever!" And my stomach twists. Forever. That word again. It used to mean us, Jessa and me. But now it belongs to her and Ryan. To them. I force myself closer to the window, pressing my forehead against the glass, as if I could get closer without being seen. The heat radiates through the pane, warming my skin even as goosebumps rise along my arms. Below, the pool glistens like liquid diamonds, surrounded by cabanas and lounge chairs, where people sip colorful drinks with tiny umbrellas. A waiter glides past, balancing trays of hors d'oeuvres that look impossibly delicate. Everything here screams perfection, but it feels hollow, staged, like every detail has been curated for Instagram rather than real life. Inside the suite, silence presses down on me. The kind of silence that amplifies everything. The hum of the air conditioner, the distant crash of waves, the pounding of my own pulse in my ears. There's an unopened bottle of champagne sitting on the table, mocking me with its gold foil wrapper. Who was I kidding when I booked this place? Did I think throwing money at the problem would make it hurt less? Or maybe I thought if I got close enough, I'd find some way back into her world. But the truth is, no amount of luxury can fill the ache in my chest. This room isn't mine. It never will be. And neither is Jessa. Not anymore. Still, I stay because leaving feels worse than staying. Because somewhere between the crashing waves outside and the suffocating quiet inside, I'm hoping to find a piece of myself I lost long before Tulum. If you've ever felt out of place in a beautiful moment, or wondered what it means to belong, keep listening. This story dives deeper than surface-level perfection. It's about finding beauty in brokenness. Why wasn't I invited? That's the question that's been eating at me since I saw Jessa's Instagram post, the one with all our friends laughing, under fairy lights, holding drinks and looking like they're already living their best lives without me. It's not just about missing a trip or feeling left out of some tropical getaway. It's deeper than that. Raw. This is about being erased. About wondering if you ever really mattered to someone who once swore you did. What do you do when the person who knew your secrets, shared your dreams, and promised forever suddenly decides you don't fit into her life anymore? Do you let it go? Pretend it doesn't hurt? Move on? Or do you fight for answers, even if it means risking everything? I keep replaying that fight we had last year in my head, over and over like a broken record. She called me too much. Those words still sting, sharp and unrelenting. Too loud, too emotional, too needy. At the time, I wanted to scream back, to tell her she was wrong. But instead, I froze. Silence stretched between us until it became unbearable. And then, nothing. No more calls, no more texts. Just radio silence. I told myself she needed space, that people cool off after fights. But deep down, I think I always knew something had shifted. Only now, standing here in this cold, empty suite overlooking paradise, am I forced to confront what I've been avoiding. Maybe she meant every word she said. And Ryan, he makes it worse somehow. The way he posts pictures of her smiling, glowing, perfect. It's like he's claiming ownership over her happiness, as if he's rewritten the story of who she is without leaving room for anyone else. Did he ask her not to invite me? Is that why I'm standing here alone while they laugh together below? Or is it simpler than that? Did she decide I wasn't worth including because I'm inconvenient? Because I remind her of things she'd rather forget? The worst part isn't the rejection itself. It's the doubt it plants in my mind. Am I really too much? Have I spent years pushing people away without realizing it? Maybe I'm the problem, the common denominator in every friendship or relationship that's fallen apart. But if that's true, then why does losing Jessa feel like losing a piece of myself? Why does it hurt so much to imagine her walking down the aisle surrounded by everyone except me? Every choice feels impossible right now. Should I march down to their villa, knock on the door, and demand answers? Would she even listen? Or would she look at me the way she did by the pool earlier, with confusion, irritation, maybe even pity? Or should I stay hidden, lurking in the shadows like some sad ghost haunting her happiest moments? Either way, I know I can't run from this forever. Sooner or later, I'll have to face her and myself and figure out where we stand. But what if there's no going back? What if the version of Jessa who loved me unconditionally is gone for good? How do you rebuild trust when you're not sure you deserve it? These questions spin endlessly in my mind, each one heavier than the last. If you were in my shoes, what would you do? Would you fight for the person you used to be close to? Or would you walk away and try to start over? Because honestly, I don't know which path hurts less, or which one leads to healing. All I know is that staying here, trapped in this limbo of guilt and longing, isn't working anymore. Something has to give. The first real crisis hits me like a tidal wave on the second morning, and I'm not ready for it, not even close. I've been tiptoeing around the edges of their world, trying to stay invisible while still getting close enough to piece together why I wasn't invited. It's exhausting, this constant balancing act between wanting answers and being terrified of what they might be. But then, just as I'm sitting at a cafe table across from their villa, sipping coffee that tastes bitter no matter how much sugar I dump into it, I see her. Jessa. She's walking toward the breakfast buffet with Ryan and a few others, laughing, like she doesn't have a care in the world. My stomach drops. I should leave. I know I should. But my feet feel glued to the ground. Instead, I duck behind the menu, hoping she won't notice me. Of course, fate has other plans. A waiter approaches my table, tray in hand, and says, "Good morning, miss. Are you here with the wedding party?" His voice is cheerful, oblivious to the grenade he's just thrown into my carefully constructed charade. Everyone turns to look at me, including Jessa. For a split second, time stops. Her smile falters, and her eyes widen in recognition. Oh God, she knows I'm here. I can see it in the way her shoulders stiffen, the way her laugh dies mid-breath. Panic surges through me, hot and suffocating. And before anyone can say anything, I mumble something about needing to check out early and bolt. I don't stop running until I'm back in the safety of the presidential suite, slamming the door shut behind me. My heart is pounding so hard, I think it might burst out of my chest. What was I thinking? Coming here was supposed to give me answers, clarity, closure, or at least that's what I told myself. But now all I feel is shame, raw and overwhelming. Shame for showing up uninvited, for intruding on her happiness, for letting myself believe I could fix whatever broke between us by simply being near her. And yet, despite everything, I can't shake the image of her face when she saw me. There was surprise, sure, but there was also something else. Something softer, almost guilty? Or am I just imagining it because I want to believe she feels bad too? Maybe she hates me now. Maybe she never wanted to see me again, and this whole trip has been one massive mistake. The thought makes me nauseous, but I can't push it away. Later, after hours of pacing the suite and replaying the scene in my head, I scroll through social media again, searching for clues, signs, anything that might explain why she looked at me the way she did. That's when I find it, a comment, under one of her photos. Someone asks, "Where's Clara? Isn't she coming?" And another bridesmaid replies, "Oh, she couldn't make it." Couldn't make it. Not wasn't invited. Couldn't. Relief floods through me, sharp and unexpected. They thought I didn't come because I couldn't, not because I wasn't welcome. Does that mean Jessa didn't intentionally leave me out? Was this all some kind of misunderstanding? But then doubt creeps back in, whispering that maybe it doesn't matter. Whether she forgot or excluded me, the result is the same. I wasn't part of her big day, her new chapter. And if I wasn't important enough to include, then what does that say about how she sees me now? About how she's seen me all along? These questions claw at me, relentless and unforgiving, pulling me deeper into a spiral of self-doubt and fear. What scares me most isn't the idea that she moved on without me. It's the possibility that she didn't need to move on at all. That maybe I was already gone long before Tulum, long before Ryan, long before any of this. If that's true, then who am I fighting for? Her? Me? Or just the memory of a friendship that might never have been as solid as I thought? If you've ever felt like you're chasing someone who's already miles ahead, or wondered whether the connections you hold on to are real or just ghosts of the past, then you'll understand why I can't let this go. Not yet. Because sometimes, the hardest battles aren't with others. They're with ourselves. Keep listening, because this story will take you places you didn't expect, and force you to ask questions you didn't know you had. For a moment, I let myself believe that maybe, just maybe, things aren't as bad as they seem. After finding that comment on Jessa's post, the one where her bridesmaid casually mentioned I couldn't make it, I cling to the idea that this whole mess might be some kind of misunderstanding. Maybe she didn't leave me out intentionally. Maybe she thought I was busy or couldn't afford the trip, and instead of asking, she just assumed. It's not perfect, but it's enough to quiet the storm inside me for now, enough to give me a sliver of hope that we're not completely broken. The next day, I decide to test the waters. I head down to the beach early, before anyone else is up, and sit at the edge of the shoreline with my knees pulled to my chest. The waves lap at my feet, cool and steady, grounding me in a way nothing else has since I got here. For the first time in days, I feel like I can breathe again. Maybe I don't need answers right away. Maybe being here isn't such a terrible idea after all. If they think I'm part of the group, if Jessa believes I had no choice but to miss the wedding, then maybe I can ease back into her life without making things worse. Maybe I can find a way to remind her of who we used to be. As the sun rises, higher, people start trickling onto the beach. Families build sandcastles, couples stroll hand in hand, kids chase seagulls along the water's edge. It's peaceful, almost normal. And then I see her, Jessa. She's walking alone this time, barefoot, carrying a cup of coffee. My heart skips a beat. Should I wave? Call out to her? But before I can decide, she glances over and freezes. Her eyes lock onto mine, wide and startled, like she wasn't expecting to see me here either. We stand there for what feels like an eternity, neither of us moving, until finally, she takes a hesitant step forward. "Clara?" Her voice is soft, unsure, like she's testing the name to see if it still fits. What? What are you doing? Here? I swallow hard, forcing myself to stay calm. Hey, Jessa, I came for the wedding. Well, sort of. I figured since everyone else was here. I trail off, suddenly aware of how lame that sounds. Anyway, I didn't want to. intrude or anything. She nods slowly, processing this. But there's something in her expression that makes me uneasy. Relief? Guilt? Or maybe suspicion. Whatever it is, it sends a shiver down my spine. She doesn't say anything for a long moment, just stares at me, like she's trying to figure out whether I'm telling the truth. Finally, she forces a small smile. "It's good to see you," she says, though her tone is flat, unconvincing. "We should catch up later." Catch up later. Those 3 words hang between us, heavy with unspoken meaning. Is she just being polite? Or does she genuinely mean it? Part of me wants to believe her, to take those words at face value and let them soothe the ache inside me. But another part, the part that spent years building walls around itself, is screaming that something isn't right. Why did she look so surprised to see me? Why does she seem so guarded? Still, I nod and force a smile of my own. Yeah, definitely. That'd be great. After she walks away, I sit back down in the sand, staring at the ocean while my mind races. On the surface, it feels like progress. She didn't yell at me, didn't tell me to leave. In fact, she seemed almost relieved, but that nagging doubt won't go away. What if she only said we should catch up because she felt obligated? What if she's already decided I don't belong here, and this is just her way of keeping the peace until I disappear again? If you've ever been given a lifeline when you least expected it, only to wonder if it's strong enough to hold your weight, then you'll understand why I can't shake this feeling. Because sometimes, the quiet moments, the ones that feel safe, are the ones hiding the biggest storms. Keep listening, because this story isn't over yet, not by a long shot. The second crisis hits me like a punch to the gut, and it's worse than anything I could have imagined. It's later that same evening, after my awkward run-in with Jessa on the beach. I've spent most of the day convincing myself that things are fine, that her lukewarm, "we should catch up," was proof enough she doesn't hate me. But deep down, I know better. Something about the way she looked at me, like I was a ghost from another life, keeps gnawing at me. Still, I tell myself to stay calm, stay invisible, don't rock the boat. But then, disaster strikes. I'm sitting by the pool, trying to blend into the background while keeping an eye on their villa. The sun is setting, painting the sky in fiery shades of orange and pink, but I barely notice. My focus is on Jessa, or rather, on what they're doing. A group of them has gathered near the fire pit. Jessa, Ryan, a few bridesmaids, and some friends, whose names I don't even remember anymore. They're laughing, drinking wine, passing around plates of food like they don't have a care in the world. And then, out of nowhere, one of the bridesmaids says something that freezes me in place. "Wait, Clara's here?" Her voice cuts through the chatter, sharp and loud enough to turn heads, including Jessa's. Everyone goes silent, staring at me like I've just walked into a room wearing a neon sign that says, "Uninvited." My pulse spikes as all eyes lock onto mine. I try to smile, to play it off like it's no big deal, but my face feels frozen, stiff. Ryan speaks first, his tone clipped and cold. "What do you mean, Clara's here? Who invited her?" No one answers. The silence stretches, heavy and suffocating, until Jessa finally clears her throat. She came for the wedding," she stammers, glancing between me and Ryan like she's caught in a spotlight she didn't ask for. "I guess she thought..." "That's not how this works," Ryan interrupts, cutting her off before she can finish. His jaw tightens, and he shoots me a look so icy it could freeze lava. "This is a private event. You shouldn't be here." Every word feels like a knife twisting deeper into my chest. Private event. Like I'm some stranger crashing their perfect little bubble. like I wasn't once closer to Jessa than anyone else in that circle. Humiliation burns hot in my cheeks, and I scramble to my feet, muttering something about needing air. But before I can escape, Jessa steps forward, her voice trembling. "Ryan, stop. She's my friend." "Your friend?" He scoffs, his gaze flicking back to her like she's said something absurd. "You haven't talked to her in years. Why does it matter now?" Years. The word lands like a grenade, exploding everything I've been clinging to since I got here. Years. As if our history together, a lifetime of memories, promises, fights, and forgiveness, can be dismissed in 2 syllables. As if Jessa herself has already written us off without a second thought. The realization hits me like a freight train. Maybe Ryan isn't the problem. Maybe Jessa really has moved on in ways I'll never understand. Tears blur my vision as I stumble away, ignoring the whispers behind me. I don't stop running until I'm far from the pool, far from the villa, far from everyone. When I finally collapse onto a bench near the edge of the resort, the weight of everything crashes over me. How could I have been so stupid? Thinking I could waltz in here and fix things, thinking I still had a place in her life. What if she doesn't want me anymore? What if she never did? If you've ever felt like you were fighting for something, or someone, who's already let you go, then you'll know why this moment hurts more than anything else. Because sometimes, the hardest truths aren't the ones we hear out loud. They're the ones we see reflected in someone else's eyes. Keep listening, because this story will take you places you didn't expect, and force you to confront questions you didn't know you had. The third crisis comes late at night, when the resort is quiet, and the stars above feel like they're mocking me with their steady glow. I'm sitting on the balcony of the presidential suite, staring out at the ocean while replaying Ryan's words in my head over and over again. You haven't talked to her in years. Why does it matter now? Those words cut deeper than any insult ever could because there's truth in them. Painful, ugly truth. And I can't unhear them no matter how hard I try. But then, just as I'm about to spiral into another sleepless night of self-loathing, my phone buzzes. It's a text from Jessa. My heart leaps before I even read it, hope flickering weakly against the darkness that's been swallowing me whole. The message is short, almost hesitant. Can we talk? Meet me by the pool in 10 minutes. Part of me wants to ignore it, to crawl under the covers and pretend none of this happened. But the other part, the stubborn, desperate part, won't let me stay put. So I grab a sweater and head downstairs, my mind racing faster than my feet. What does she want to say? Is she going to apologize? Explain why she didn't invite me? Tell me she misses me? Or is this her way of saying goodbye for good? When I get to the pool, Jessa is already there, sitting cross-legged on a lounge chair with her arms wrapped tightly around herself. She looks smaller somehow, like the weight of everything has finally caught up to her too. For a moment, neither of us speaks. We just sit there, breathing in the salty air, listening to the distant crash of waves. Then finally, she breaks the silence. "I'm sorry," she says, her voice barely above a whisper. "For everything. For not inviting you. For letting things get so broken between us." Her apology catches me off guard, but instead of relief, all I feel is anger. Hot, searing anger that bubbles up from somewhere deep inside me. "Why didn't you invite me, Jessa?" I demand, my voice cracking under the weight of everything I've been holding back. Was it him? Did Ryan tell you not to? She shakes her head quickly, vehemently. "No, it wasn't Ryan. It was me. I thought maybe it would be easier if you weren't here." Easier for both of us. Easier. That word hits me like a slap. Easier for who? For her? For me? For everyone except us? "So what, you just decided to erase me?" I snap, tears stinging my eyes. "Like I don't exist anymore?" "No," she cries. reaching out to touch my arm. But I pull away before her fingers can brush mine. That's not what I meant. I didn't know how to fix us, Clara. After everything that happened last year, after the fight, She trails off, looking down at her hands like they hold all the answers. I thought staying away was better than hurting you more. Her words should comfort me. They should make sense of the chaos. But instead, they only make me angrier. Because here's the thing. Staying away isn't better. Staying away is cowardly. It's selfish. And worst of all, it's dishonest. If she cared enough to protect me from pain, why didn't she care enough to face me, to fight for our friendship, when it mattered most? And that's when the moral dilemma slams into me like a freight train. Do I forgive her? Do I take her apology and pretend everything's okay, even though it's not? Or do I walk away, cutting ties completely and finally freeing myself from the toxic cycle of longing and rejection? Forgiveness feels like weakness right now, like letting her off the hook for something she doesn't fully understand. But walking away feels like giving up, not just on her, but on us. On the memories we shared, the promises we made, the bond that once felt unbreakable. What would you do? If someone you loved told you they stayed away because they thought it was easier, would you believe them? Would you forgive them? Or would you walk away knowing you might never find closure? Because that's where I am right now, stuck between two impossible choices, each one pulling me in opposite directions. If you've ever faced a decision that challenged your values, your pride, or your heart, then you'll understand why this moment feels like standing on the edge of a cliff. One wrong step, and everything falls apart. Keep listening, because this story will take you places you didn't expect, and force you to ask yourself questions you didn't know you had. The fourth crisis hits like a hurricane, tearing through everything I thought I understood about Jessa and myself. After our conversation by the pool, I should have felt some kind of relief, right? Like maybe we were finally starting to untangle the mess between us. But instead, I feel worse. Raw and exposed in ways I wasn't prepared for. Her apology didn't fix anything. It only made the cracks wider, deeper. And now, as dawn breaks, over Tulum, I'm faced with a choice that feels impossible. Do I confront her again, push harder for answers, risk everything to salvage what's left of us? Or do I walk away, leave this place behind, and try to rebuild myself without her? But before I can decide, fate intervenes, in the worst possible way. I wake up to the sound of knocking on my suite door. At first I ignore it, assuming it's housekeeping or room service. But when the knocking turns into pounding, loud and urgent, I drag myself out of bed, heart racing. I open the door to find one of Jessa's bridesmaids standing there, pale and trembling. "You need to come quick," she says, her voice shaking. It's Jessa. My stomach drops. What happened? She had a fight with Ryan last night. The bridesmaid blurts, tears streaming down her face. He said some things, awful things, about you, about her. She stormed off and no one's seen her since. Oh God, my knees nearly buckle beneath me. Without thinking, I grab my phone and sprint toward the beach, where they told me she was last seen. The sand is cold under my bare feet, the early morning light casting long shadows across the shore. Panic claws at my chest as I scan the empty stretch of coastline, calling her name over and over again. Where is she? What if something's happened to her? What if... And then I see her. She's sitting alone at the water's edge, hugging her, knees to her chest, staring out at the horizon like she's trying to disappear into it. For a split second, relief washes over me, but it doesn't last. As I approach, I notice the redness in her eyes, the streaks of mascara running down her cheeks. She looks broken in a way I've never seen before, and it terrifies me. "Jessa," I whisper, dropping to my knees beside her. Are you okay? She shakes her head, choking back sobs. I messed everything up, Clara. Everything. What are you talking about? I ask, though part of me already knows the answer. This isn't just about Ryan anymore. It's about us. About the years we lost, the fights we never resolved, the promises we let slip away. He hates me, she whispers, her voice barely audible over the crashing waves. And honestly, I don't blame him. I've been lying. To him, to everyone, to myself. She pauses, taking a shaky breath. I didn't invite you because I was scared, okay? Scared of seeing you, of having to face how much I hurt you, of realizing how much I miss you. Her confession knocks the wind out of me. All this time I thought she didn't care, that she'd moved on without a second thought. But the truth is so much messier, and so much more painful. She didn't leave me behind because she stopped loving me. She left me behind because she didn't know how to love me anymore. But here's the thing. Neither did I. Somewhere along the way, I stopped fighting for her too. I let resentment take root. Let silence become a wall instead of a bridge. And now, looking at her crumpled form, I realize we're both guilty of the same crime. Giving up on each other when we needed each other most. So what do I do now? I pull her into my arms, forgive her, tell her it's going to be okay, even though I'm not sure it will be? Or do I walk away, protect myself from the pain she's caused me, and hope that someday I'll stop feeling like half a person without her? If you've ever stood on the brink of losing someone you love, torn between walking away and holding on, then you'll understand why this moment feels like standing in the eye of a storm. One wrong move, and everything falls apart. Keep listening. Because this story isn't over yet, and trust me, you won't see the ending coming. The air feels heavier now, like the world itself is holding its breath, waiting for what comes next. Jessa's confession hangs between us, raw and trembling, as the waves crash against the shore behind her. I can see it in her eyes, the weight of everything she's been carrying, the guilt, the regret, the fear. And yet there's something else too, something flickering beneath the surface. Hope. Hope that maybe, just maybe, we can fix this. But fixing things isn't easy when the cracks run so deep. I kneel beside her, my hands hovering uncertainly over hers, unsure if I should touch her or pull away. What do you want from me, Jessa? I ask, my voice breaking despite my best efforts to stay calm. Do you want forgiveness? Closure? Or are you just trying to make yourself feel better before walking away again? Her head snaps up, her tear-streaked face twisting with anger, or maybe pain. Is that what you think this is? Some kind of selfish apology? She shakes her head, frustrated, defeated. You don't get it, Clara. None of this was ever about making myself feel better. It was about protecting you. From me. Protecting me. The words hit me like a punch to the gut, knocking the wind out of me. Protecting me from what? From her mistakes? From her choices? From herself? If that's true, then why does it feel like she's been running away from me all this time? Why does it feel like every step forward only pushes us further apart? But before I can say anything, she continues, her voice barely above a whisper. Ryan, he doesn't understand. He thinks I'm clinging to the past, to you, to everything we used to be. And maybe he's right. Maybe I am. But Clara... She looks at me then, really looks at me. And for the first time in years, I see the girl I grew up with. The one who shared peanut butter sandwiches with me in second grade, who held my hand through every heartbreak, who promised we'd always have each other no matter what. I don't know how to let go of us. Let go of us. Those 3 words echo in my mind, sharp and unrelenting, slicing through all the walls I've built around myself since our fight. Letting go sounds simple enough, doesn't it? Just walk away, turn your back, close the door. But what if letting go means losing not just her, but also a piece of yourself? What if letting go means admitting that the person you once were, the person you thought you'd grow old with, doesn't exist anymore? And that's where the tension builds, twisting tighter and tighter inside me until it feels like I might snap. Because here's the truth. I don't know if I can forgive her. Not completely. Not yet. But I also don't know if I can walk away. Not after hearing her say those words. Not after seeing the way she looks at me now, like I'm still the most important person in her world. So what happens next? Do I reach out, take her hand, tell her we'll figure it out together, even though I'm not sure we can? Or do I stand up, walk away, and leave her sitting there on the beach, alone with her tears and her regrets? Every fiber of my being screams at me to choose, to act, to do something. But I can't. Not yet. Because whatever choice I make will change everything. Forever. If you've ever faced a moment where every decision felt impossible, where love and pride clashed so fiercely you didn't know which side to take, then you'll understand why this feels like standing at the edge of a cliff. One wrong move and everything falls apart. Don't miss what happens next. Subscribe now to hear how Clara chooses between forgiveness and freedom. Because trust me, the ending will leave you breathless. As the sun rises higher, painting the sky in shades of gold and pink, I realize we're running out of time. Ryan will come looking for her soon, and when he does, there won't be room for both of us in her life. So I have to decide, and fast. Do I fight for her, for us, even if it means risking everything? Or do I let her go, once and for all, and try to find a way to live without her? Keep listening, because this story will take you places you didn't expect and force you to confront questions you didn't know you had. The moment comes faster than I expect, and suddenly there's no more time to think, no more room to hesitate. Ryan shows up just as the sun crests over the horizon, his shadow stretching long across the sand like some kind of omen. He doesn't say anything at first, just stands there, staring at us with a mix of confusion and anger that makes my skin crawl. Jessa stiffens beside me, her hand instinctively reaching for mine before she pulls it back, like she's not sure where she belongs anymore. To him? To me? To neither? What the hell is this? Ryan demands, his voice sharp enough to cut glass. His eyes flick between us, narrowing when they land on our proximity, the way we're sitting too close, breathing the same air. Jessa, what are you doing out here with her? Her name sounds wrong coming from his lips, like he's stripped it of all its meaning. I open my mouth to speak, to defend her, to explain, but Jessa beats me to it. She stands quickly, brushing sand off her jeans, her shoulders squared like she's bracing for impact. I needed to talk to Clara, she says, her voice steady, despite the tremor I can see in her hands. Alone. Ryan scoffs, shaking his head like he can't believe what he's hearing. You're kidding, right? After everything we talked about last night? You said you were done with her. Done with whatever this is. He gestures wildly between us, like our connection is something tangible, something dirty he can scrub away if he tries hard enough. No, Jessa snaps, surprising both of us with the force of her words. What I said was that I didn't know how to let go of her. There's a difference. The silence that follows is deafening, heavy with unspoken truths and simmering emotions. Ryan looks like someone just punched him in the gut, his face pale, his jaw clenched so tight I'm afraid it might crack. But it's Jessa who breaks the tension, stepping forward until she's standing toe-to-toe with him. I've spent years trying to be the person everyone expects me to be. The perfect girlfriend, the perfect friend, the perfect version of myself. But none of it feels real anymore, not without her. Her words hang in the air, raw and unfiltered, and for a split second, I wonder if I misheard her. Did she really just choose me over him? Over everything? But then Ryan laughs, a cold, bitter sound that sends chills down my spine. So that's it? You're throwing everything away. For her. For someone who couldn't even show up when it mattered most? His accusation hits me like a freight train, knocking the breath out of me. Because he's right, isn't he? I wasn't there for her. Not really. Not during the fights, not after the silences, not when she needed me most. And yet, here she is, defending me, choosing me, even though I don't deserve it. That's not fair, Jessa says, her voice trembling but fierce. Clara being, here doesn't change anything about us, or lack thereof. What changes things is you deciding what I should feel, who I should care about, who gets to stay in my life and who doesn't. Well, newsflash, Ryan. You don't get to decide that. No one does. For the first time since this nightmare began, I feel a spark of hope ignite inside me. It's small, fragile, but it's there, glowing brighter with every word she says. This isn't just about me or him. It's about her finding her voice, reclaiming the pieces of herself she lost along the way. And maybe, just maybe, I can help her do that. But before I can say anything, Ryan takes a step closer, his expression darkening. Fine, he spits, his voice low and dangerous. If that's how you feel, then I guess there's nothing left to say. He turns to leave, but not before throwing one last dagger over his shoulder. Good luck fixing whatever's broken between you two. You'll need it. And just like that, he's gone, leaving behind a trail of dust and unanswered questions. The weight of his absence settles heavily around us, pressing down on my chest until it's hard to breathe. But Jessa doesn't move, doesn't flinch. She just stands there, staring at the spot where he disappeared, her body rigid, her fists clenched at her sides. Finally, she turns to me, her eyes searching mine like she's looking for something. Absolution, reassurance, forgiveness. I meant what I said, she whispers, her voice cracking under the weight of everything unsaid. About needing you, about not knowing how to let go. I want to tell her it's okay, that we'll figure it out together, that everything will be all right. But the truth is, I don't know if any of that's true. All I know is that we're standing here, bruised and broken, but still somehow alive, still holding on. So instead of speaking, I reach for her hand, lacing my fingers through hers like we used to when we were kids. Her grip tightens, grounding me in a way nothing else has since I got here. We don't say anything after that. Words feel useless, now inadequate compared to the storm raging inside us. Instead, we sit together on the beach, watching the waves crash against the shore, letting the tide wash away the pieces of ourselves we're ready to leave behind. If you've ever wondered whether love, real, messy, complicated love, is worth fighting for, even when it hurts, then you won't want to miss what happens next. Keep listening, because this story will take you places you didn't expect, and leave you asking questions you didn't know you had. Just when I think we've reached the end of this tangled mess, when it feels like Jessa and I might actually have a chance to rebuild what's left of us, something happens that shatters everything all over again. We're still sitting on the beach, holding hands like it's the only thing keeping us tethered to reality, when a voice cuts through the quiet morning air like a knife. Jessa. It's Ryan. Again. But this time, he's not alone. Standing. Beside him is someone I haven't seen in years. Mia. My stomach drops as soon as I recognize her. She was Jessa's best friend before me, the one who moved away when we were teenagers, leaving both of us behind. Only she didn't just leave, physically. She took pieces of Jessa with her, secrets and memories I never fully understood. And now here she is, looking effortlessly put together in a sundress that matches the sunrise, her presence radiating something between confidence and guilt. "What are you doing here?" Jessa asks, her voice trembling as she pulls her hand away from mine. For the first time since Ryan walked off, she looks unsure, vulnerable in a way that makes my chest ache. Mia steps forward, glancing briefly at me before focusing on Jessa. "I came because I needed to tell you the truth," she says softly, hesitating like she's choosing her words carefully. "About why I left. About us. Us." That single word hangs in the air like a bomb waiting to explode. My mind races, trying to piece together what she means, but nothing makes sense. Us? As in Mia and Jessa? Or Mia and me? Before I can process any of it, Mia turns to me, her expression unreadable. "Clara, you should know, I wasn't honest with you back then, about why I really stopped talking to you. It wasn't just because of the distance. The world tilts under my feet. What is she saying? That there was more to our falling out than I ever realized? That Jessa knew about it and kept it from me?" I look at her, searching her face for answers, but all I see is regret. "What are you talking about?" I demand, my voice shaking despite my best efforts to stay calm. "What aren't you telling me?" Before Mia can respond, Jessa jumps in, her tone sharp and defensive. "This isn't the time or place for this," she snaps, glaring at Mia like she wants to push her back into the ocean. "Whatever you think you owe Clara, it can wait." "No, it can't," Mia counters, her voice firm now, unyielding. She looks at me again, her eyes filled with something I can't quite name. Remorse? Resolve? "Clara, the reason I stopped talking to you wasn't because of the move. It was because Jessa asked me to." My breath catches in my throat. The words hit me like a freight train, knocking the wind out of me. I turn to Jessa, my heart pounding so hard I'm sure everyone can hear it. "Is that true?" I whisper, my voice barely audible over the crashing waves. Did you ask her to cut me out of her life?" Jessa doesn't answer right away. Instead, she stares at the ground, her shoulders slumped like the weight of the world has finally caught up to her. When she finally speaks, her voice is barely above a whisper. "I thought it would be easier," she says, tears streaming down her face. "For all of us. I thought if Mia stayed away, you'd focus on me, on us." Her confession feels like another betrayal, cutting deeper than anything else she's said today. Easier for who? For her? For Mia? For me? How could she think tearing apart relationships was better than letting them grow naturally? And worse, how long has she been carrying this secret, lying to both of us without a second thought? If you've ever wondered how far people will go to protect their version of love, and whether forgiveness is possible after such a profound betrayal, you won't want to miss what happens next. Subscribe now to uncover the full story, where every twist challenges everything you thought you knew about trust, loyalty, and redemption. As the sun climbs higher, casting golden light over the three of us, I realize the hardest part isn't the lies. It's deciding whether they've cost too much to forgive. Keep listening, because this journey is far from over. The silence that follows Mia's revelation stretches endlessly, heavy with the weight of everything unspoken. I feel like I'm standing on the edge of a cliff, staring into an abyss so deep it swallows light whole. My mind races, trying to reconcile the girl I thought Jessa was, the one who promised forever, with the person sitting in front of me now, broken and exposed. Did she really believe cutting ties with Mia would keep us closer? Or was it just another way for her to control the narrative, to shape our friendship into something she could manage? "I didn't mean to hurt you," Jessa whispers, breaking the suffocating quiet. Her voice is raw, trembling, like she's holding back tears, or maybe already drowning in them. I thought if Mia stayed away, you'd focus on me, on us. I didn't realize how much it would cost. Her words sting, sharp and unrelenting, but they also force me to confront something I've been avoiding. None of this is black and white. Yes, she lied. Yes, she manipulated. But she did it because she was scared. Scared of losing me. Scared of being left behind. Scared of not being enough. And isn't that what I've been afraid of too? Haven't I spent years building walls around myself, pushing people away before they could leave me first? Mia shifts uncomfortably beside us, her presence a constant reminder of the fractures we've all created. I should have told you sooner, she says, looking at me with eyes filled with regret. But Jessa made me promise. She said it was for the best. For the best? I repeat, my voice rising despite my best efforts to stay calm. How could any of this be for the best? Because I thought love meant sacrifice. Jessa interrupts, her tone desperate, pleading. I thought if I gave up pieces of myself, if I asked others to give up pieces of themselves, it would make us stronger, closer. But all it did was break us. Her admission hits me like a tidal wave, pulling me under until I can't breathe. Love doesn't mean sacrifice. Not like that. Real love, messy, imperfect, human love, is about connection, not control. It's about choosing each other even when it's hard, even when it hurts. And maybe that's why I've been so angry, so resistant to forgiving her. Because somewhere along the way, I stopped believing she chose me. But now, sitting here with both of them, I realize something else. I haven't chosen her either. Not since the fight. Not since the silence. Not since Tulum. Instead, I've let resentment fester. Let pride dictate my actions. Let fear keep me from reaching out. If I'm honest with myself, I've been just as guilty of running away as she has. So what do I do now? Do I walk away, severing ties completely and protecting myself from further pain? Or do I stay, risk everything, and try to rebuild what's left of us? The answer comes slowly, painfully, like sunlight breaking through storm clouds. Forgiveness isn't about forgetting or excusing. It's about choosing to move forward despite the scars. It's about acknowledging the wounds without letting them define you. I don't know if I can trust you again, I say finally, my voice steady despite the ache in my chest. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But I do know that walking away won't fix anything for either of us. Jessa nods, her tears falling freely now. And for the first time in days, I see the girl I grew up with. The one who once shared peanut butter sandwiches with me during recess, who held my hand through every heartbreak, who promised we'd always have each other no matter what. She's still there, buried beneath years of mistakes and misunderstandings, waiting for someone to dig her out. Then we start over, she says softly, almost hopefully. One step at a time. And maybe that's all we can ask for. A chance to begin again. To rewrite the story we've been telling ourselves about who we are and what we deserve. As the sun climbs higher, painting the sky in shades of gold and pink, I feel something shift inside me. A softening, a letting go. Not of her, but of the anger, the resentment, the fear that's kept me stuck for so long. If you've ever wondered whether forgiveness is possible after betrayal, or whether transformation requires more than just saying sorry, you'll understand why this moment feels like stepping into uncharted territory. What does it take to truly choose someone, flaws and all? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, because every journey starts with a single step. Keep listening, because this story will remind you that healing isn't linear, but it's always worth it. The sun is high now, blazing down on the beach like it's trying to burn away everything that's happened here. Jessa, Mia, and I are sitting in a circle of sorts, the three of us connected by invisible threads of history, hurt, and hope. It feels surreal, like we've stepped into some kind of liminal space where time doesn't exist, where the past and present collide in ways I can barely comprehend. My heart is still pounding, my hands shaking slightly as they rest on my knees. But for the first time in days, I feel lighter. Like maybe, just maybe, we're finally moving towards something real. I'm not asking for forgiveness, Jessa says quietly, her voice steady despite the tears streaming down her face. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But I am asking for a chance, to prove that I can do better, to show you that I'm willing to fight for this. For us. Her words hang in the air, raw and unfiltered, and part of me wants to push back, to demand more than promises she might not be able to keep. But another part, the part that remembers how much she's meant to me over the years, knows that sometimes all anyone can offer is effort. And right now, her willingness to sit here, exposed and vulnerable, feels like enough. Not perfect, not complete, but enough. Mia shifts beside me, drawing my attention. She looks at both of us, her expression a mix of guilt and determination. I shouldn't have let her make me promise, she admits, her voice trembling. I should have told you sooner, Clara. About everything. About why I left. About why I stopped talking to you. But I was scared too. Scared of losing both of you. Her confession stirs something deep inside me, a mix of anger and understanding that tugs at my chest. Scared. That word keeps coming up, over and over again, tying us together in ways I never expected. We've all been running, from each other, from ourselves, from the truth. And maybe that's why it feels so impossible to walk away now. Because even though we've hurt each other, betrayed each other, lied to each other, we're still here. Still choosing to face whatever comes next, instead of turning our backs and walking away. I don't know if I can trust either of you yet, I say finally, the words tasting strange on my tongue. But I think I want to try. It's not a declaration of absolution or a promise of reconciliation. It's an acknowledgement. A small, fragile step towards something new. Something undefined, but full of possibility. Jessa exhales sharply, like she's been holding her breath this whole time, and nods. Mia reaches out, hesitating for a moment before placing her hand lightly on mine. Her touch is tentative, almost afraid, but it grounds me in a way I didn't realize I needed. For a while, none of us speaks. We just sit there, listening to the waves crash against the shore, letting the silence stretch between us like a bridge, slowly being rebuilt. The weight of everything we've said and everything we haven't presses down on me, heavy but not crushing. It's different this time, though. This isn't the suffocating silence of avoidance or denial. It's the quiet that comes after a storm, when the world feels too raw, too open, to handle anything louder than a whisper. As the afternoon wears on, Mia excuses herself, saying she needs to give us space. Jessa watches her go, her eyes filled with something I can't quite name. Gratitude? Regret? Hope? Whatever it is, it softens her features, making her look younger somehow, less burdened by the secrets she's carried for so long. When she turns back to me, her gaze is steady, searching mine like she's looking for permission to speak. I don't expect things to go back to the way they were, she says, her voice low but firm. And honestly, I don't think they should. Too much has changed, for both of us. But Clara... She pauses, swallowing hard before continuing. You're still the person who knows me best, even after everything. And if you'll let me, I'd like to earn that again. to remind you why we mattered to each other in the first place. Her words hit me like a punch to the gut, knocking loose something I've been holding on to for years. The fear that what we had wasn't real, that it was just a mirage built on shared memories and childhood promises. But sitting here with her now, seeing the vulnerability in her eyes, I realize the opposite is true. What we had wasn't perfect. It was messy and complicated and flawed. But it was real, and maybe that's what makes it worth fighting for. By the time the sun dips below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple, Jessa and I have made a plan, or at least the beginnings of one. No grand gestures, no sweeping declarations, just small steps forward. Weekly calls, honest conversations, a commitment to showing up even when it's hard. It's not much, but it's a start. And for now, that's enough. If you've ever wondered whether broken relationships can truly heal, or whether starting over is possible after so much pain, you'll understand why this moment feels like standing on the edge of something new. What does it take to rebuild? Trust once it's been shattered. Keep listening, because this story will leave you believing that even the hardest journeys are worth taking. The days that follow feel like walking on shifting sand, unsteady, unpredictable, but somehow grounding in their imperfection. Jessa and I start small, just like we promised. A phone call every Sunday evening, no matter what. At first, the conversations are awkward, filled with long pauses and stilted attempts to fill the silence. But slowly, they begin to feel more natural, less forced. We talk about everything and nothing, the weather, work, old memories. And though it's not the same as it used to be, it's enough. It has to be. Mia, too, becomes part of this fragile new dynamic. She reaches out to me one night, weeks after our confrontation on the beach, leaving a voicemail so hesitant it makes my chest ache. "Clara, it's me," she says, her voice barely above a whisper. "I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I'd really like to try again, if you'll let me." Her words catch me off guard, not because of what she says, but because of how familiar they sound. They echo Jess's plea, reminding me that we're all guilty of running from the things that scare us most. So I call her back, and we meet for coffee at a tiny cafe near my apartment. It's strange seeing her face to face after so many years, stranger still realizing how much I've missed her without even knowing it. Our friendship doesn't return overnight. It can't. Too much time has passed. Too many wounds have festered. But there's something comforting about starting over, about letting ourselves stumble through the process of reconnection without expecting perfection. Mia tells me stories about her life since she left, about the guilt she carried for cutting ties with both of us, about how she always wondered if she'd made the right choice. Listening to her, I realize she's been carrying her own version of the pain Jessa and I have inflicted on each other. Maybe forgiveness isn't about forgetting or excusing. It's about understanding. About choosing to see the humanity in someone, flaws and all. As for Ryan, well, he fades into the background, almost immediately after his final appearance on the beach. Jessa tells me later that they broke things off shortly after our confrontation, citing irreconcilable differences and a growing distance neither of them could bridge. "He wanted me to choose him over you," she admits during one of our calls, her voice tinged with sadness but also clarity. "But I couldn't, not this time." What strikes me most about these changes isn't just how they've affected Jessa, Mia, or even me. It's how they've reshaped the way we see ourselves. For years, I've defined myself by loss. Losing Jessa, losing Mia, losing pieces of myself along the way. But now, sitting here in the aftermath of everything, I realize I've been given a chance to redefine who I am, not as someone who's been left behind, but as someone who chooses to stay, to fight, to love, even when it hurts. Jessa seems different too, quieter but stronger somehow. She talks about moving forward, about learning to let go of the need to control every aspect of her relationships. I thought love meant sacrifice, she says once, her tone thoughtful. But now I think it means trust. Trusting people to show up for you. Trusting yourself to show up for them. And trusting that even if things fall apart, you'll find a way to put them back together. And then there's Mia, who reminds me that growth doesn't happen in isolation. Over coffee, she shares how reconnecting with us has helped her confront her own fears of rejection, of failure, of being seen as anything less than perfect. I spent so long trying to protect myself from getting hurt, she confesses, stirring her latte absently. But maybe vulnerability isn't weakness. Maybe it's strength. These lessons aren't easy, they never are, but they're necessary. They force me to confront uncomfortable truths about myself, about the ways I've pushed people away out of fear, pride, or self-preservation. And while I'm far from healed, far from whole, I feel like I'm finally stepping into a version of myself I can live with. One that's willing to take risks, to embrace imperfection, to believe in second chances, even when they come with scars. If you've ever wondered whether transformation is possible after loss, or whether healing requires more than just saying sorry, you'll understand why this moment feels like standing on solid ground for the first time in years. What does it mean to truly choose connection over fear? Keep listening, because this story will leave you believing that even the hardest journeys lead somewhere worth reaching. Looking back on everything that's happened, I can't help but think about the lessons this trip and this mess has taught me. Not just about Jessa or Mia or even myself, but about life itself. About how we love, how we let go, and how we find our way back to each other, or to ourselves, when things fall apart. Because that's what this whole story boils down to. Falling apart and putting yourself back together again. And trust me, it's not pretty. It's messy, exhausting. And sometimes it feels like you're taking 2 steps forward only to stumble 3 steps back. But if there's one thing I've learned, it's that growth doesn't happen in straight lines. It happens in circles, spirals, detours. Sometimes you have to lose everything to figure out what really matters. One of the biggest lessons I've taken away is this. Fear will always try to keep you small. Fear of rejection, fear of vulnerability, fear of being left behind. It doesn't matter which flavor it comes in. It all tastes the same. Bitter. For years, I let fear dictate my choices, pushing people away before they could hurt me, building walls so high no one could climb them, not even the people who loved me most. And sure, those walls kept me safe for a while, but they also isolated me in ways I didn't fully understand until now. What I realize now is that safety isn't the absence of risk. It's the willingness to take risks anyway. To open your heart even when it feels like it might break. Because here's the truth. Hearts heal. Walls don't. Jessa taught me something else too, something I didn't expect. Love isn't about control. It's not about shaping someone into the version of them you want to see, or manipulating situations to keep them close. Real love, messy, imperfect, human love, is about trust. Trusting people to show up for you, trusting yourself to show up for them, and trusting that even if things fall apart, you'll find a way to rebuild. That doesn't mean relationships are easy or painless. It means they're worth fighting for, even when it hurts, even when it scares you. And then there's Mia, who reminded me that forgiveness isn't a destination. It's a process. You don't wake up one day and decide, okay, I'm over it. Forgiveness is messy, non-linear, and often incomplete. It's choosing to see someone as more than their mistakes, to recognize the humanity in their flaws. It's not forgetting or excusing, it's understanding. And maybe that's why forgiveness feels so hard, because it requires us to confront our own vulnerabilities, to admit that we're capable of both hurting and being hurt. These lessons aren't abstract. They're real, tangible, lived experiences, that mirror moments we've all faced in some form or another. Think about it. How many times have you pushed someone away because you were scared of losing them? How many times have you stayed silent instead of speaking your truth, afraid of what might happen if you did? How many times have you held on to anger or resentment because letting go felt like admitting defeat? These questions aren't rhetorical. They're universal. They're part of what makes us human. If there's one thing I hope you take away from this story, it's this. Transformation isn't about erasing the past. It's about integrating it. It's about carrying your scars with pride, knowing they're proof of battles fought and survived. It's about choosing connection over fear, love over control, vulnerability over perfection. So tell me this. What's a lesson you've learned? The hard way? A moment where you had to choose between staying stuck or stepping into something new? Share your story in the comments, because every journey starts with a single step. And sometimes, hearing someone else's helps us take our own. Keep listening, because this story isn't just mine, it's ours.